Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Zeddy here, and I am back at it again to drop yet another What If Deku one-shot. This being, what if Deku went back in time? Now, I've always wondered what would happen had Deku basically mastered One for All when it was given to him, or aka actually just trained before he actually got the quirk so that his body could be way better prepared, or maybe even had a better teacher. Well, we're now going to be finding out exactly that. What if Deku in the battle against Shigaraki that took place in the manga, with Bakugo getting impaled and Mirio, well, of course, getting his quirk back, what would happen had Deku lost that fight? Eri had been present and she would have done something to help Deku. Well, that is precisely what we are going to be finding out today. With that being said, I really don't have too much to say before the start of the video, other than check out my links in the description. This video is going to be sponsored, and yeah, with that being said, we're basically just going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so as I pretty much said in the intro already, Deku is going to be going back in time via Eri during the fight against Shigaraki. Let's say that in this version of events, Deku ended up losing pretty badly to Shigaraki, and so Eri, through, desperate measures, ended up pretty much grabbing Deku, and she pretty much ended up, because she couldn't control her emotions, sending him back in time. That being said, all of Deku's injuries would pretty much go away, and this would pretty much lead to Deku going all the way back in time, basically to train his own past self, right? He's gonna be training his past self. Now, honestly, guys, I don't really know. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna be doing two different scenarios inside of this very what if. There's going to be the one where Deku goes back in time and he's the one personally in charge of past Deku's training. Then I'm going to be having another one where Deku's consciousness pretty much traveled back to a previous version of Deku. That being said, I'm going to be starting with the one that trains Deku. Deku would pretty much arrive right back where the battle was taking place, and he would have his costume pretty much in perfect, pristine condition. This is when Deku would pretty much start being like, what happened? As he would notice that everything looks perfect. It doesn't look like it's damaged. It doesn't look like the battle with Shigaraki happened at all. Deku would realize that everything looks a little older. So like around the time when he was about like 7 years old, looks as if technology is a little couple years behind. As Deku would realize, Eri, she probably took me back in time by accident. Deku would say, there's no way, I have to fix this. I have to do something to fix this. As immediately, Deku would go around and ask what year it is. They would pretty much proceed to tell Deku, why would he ask this question? As they would answer the question, and Deku's eyes would widen. He would immediately realize what he has to do. He would say, I must have been sent here for a reason. If I can train myself enough to the point where I can actually handle Shigaraki, then myself and my past self could both be able to take down Shigaraki before anything gets to where it was. Because in this version of events, I'm going to be saying that Bakugo ended up dying, Todoroki died, Kirishima died, a bunch of people ended up dying because Deku wasn't able to stop Shigaraki. Meaning Endeavor died, Todoroki died, a bunch of the people that we all know and love ended up losing their lives in the battle against Shigaraki. Now, that being said, this is when Deku basically proceeded to essentially go all the way over to the area where he lives at. As he would rush there, he would blitz, and as soon as Deku arrives, he would pretty much bang on the door as Inka would say, who is it? Immediately, she would look through the peephole and see what is undeniably her son. A mother will always recognize her son, whether he's 50, whether he's 10 years old. A mother just knows this type of stuff. And she would see it and say, Deku? Immediately she would be like, did you get your quirk? Did it make you older? As at this point, like baby Deku's at school, or 8-year-old Deku's at school, and Deku would pretty much just go in for a hug with his mother. She would ask what's wrong, and this is when Deku would pretty much begin to explain the entire situation. How he never ends up developing a quirk, however in the future he ends up getting gifted a quirk, or passed on a quirk by All Might himself. The symbol of peace, All Might, the protector of this world. This is when Inko would be like, so all that really happens? And she would basically say, but what if he's not strong enough? What if my Izuku doesn't make it? I couldn't bear to see both of you like this. As Deku would say that things will be different this time, because this time he's going to be training from a young age, so his body's going to be ready for One for All as soon as he gets the quirk. As she would say, well, if there's anybody I can trust, it's my Izuku. As this is when about 1 hour later, normal Deku would come back, or aka past Deku. Here, I'm going to be doing this. So, our hero Deku from the future is going to be Deku, past Deku is going to be Izuku. Izuku would arrive home as Deku would look at him and say, listen to me, this is about to sound scary. As Izuku would look at him and say, are you from the future? As Deku would just smile and say, well, I always was a little smart. Deku would then finally begin to explain to Izuku what's going on, as Izuku would be like, so I need to train? But I'm quirkless, I couldn't do anything. As Deku would tell him that he's not going to be quirkless for long. And if he does this, he's going to be able to become that hero which can save everybody with a smile on his face. Immediately, Izuku would get a smile on his face, big and bright, and this is when Deku would begin to train his past self to his limits. The first couple of months, Deku would have actually overtrained Izuku because of the fact that he just believes that he needs to overtrain him more than he actually does. But this is when he finally realizes that he's still a kid. He's still younger. His body isn't used to this stuff. So he would start going lighter with the training, something suitable for an 8-year-old. And this is when Deku would finally start seeing some results in Izuku. As Izuku would progressively start learning fighting styles, he would learn the shoot style, he would learn boxing, he would end up learning taijutsu, he would watch a lot of Naruto, pick up on some of their fighting habits. He would do a lot of basic, calisthenics. He would do a whole lot of calisthenics. And by the time that the anime actually rolls around, Deku is a completely different beast. See, this version of Deku that actually ended up training is even more powerful than Bakugo. So the relationship between Bakugo and Izuku is going to be a little different than what it is in canon. Instead of Deku being afraid of Bakugo, after about 4 years of training with himself, he finally got over that crippling fear of Bakugo and actually ended up standing up for himself, leading to Deku being more popular, more confident, and Deku getting a little bit more on the arrogant side. But, you know, if you're gonna sit there and you're getting trained by somebody who has like 50% full cowling and you know all those extra quirks, you're not gonna win no matter how strong physically you are. So yeah, Deku humbles Izuku every now and then, but it has been a minute since he's gotten humbled. So Izuku would be in class, they would have their little, I know you all want to become heroes stuff, and this is when, you know, Teacher would pretty much start throwing everything up in the air. This is when Izuku would be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to UA. As, you know, the tunnel situation would happen, this version of Izuku would actually end up destroying the sludge villain completely without a quirk, mind you. All Might would be impressed and he would end up handing down One for All to Deku. I mean, Izuku. However, as he meets Izuku, Deku would actually arrive and show off One for All. All Might would just be shocked, and Deku would then begin to explain the history behind why he's here, what ended up happening, and he would even tell him about Eri. And actually, one thing that I completely forgot to mention was Deku saved Eri so much sooner than he did in canon. See, he saved her, like, how old? Actually, no. He saved her, yeah, he saved her at about the same time that Deku was 8 years old. So Eri's actually been living with the family for all this time, because this version of Deku was not about to let Eri go through even 1 year of suffering by the hands of Shisaki. Kai Shisaki, right? Or aka Overhaul, right? With that being said, though, she was saved because, you know, Deku one-shotted All for One. No, not All for One, but Overhaul. And in terms of, what's it called? Deku getting one for all, he actually ends up being able to utilize an entire 50% full cowling. So for the 10 months, he basically just tries to get to the level of Deku's strength. However, Deku ends up getting even more further beyond that and actually ends up getting 100% of one for all. After realizing that what he wanted to do was flawed and, you know, having his past self do all this weird, crazy nonsense of making him stronger, he probably could have just gotten himself this strong and ended up taking All For One out and Shigaraki out before any of that could have happened. So Deku ends up doing just that. He pretty much ends up taking down All For One with an investigation with the police by using All Might's resources before Izuku even gets into UA. And when Izuku gets into UA, he basically just has a normal school life. Since there's no overhaul arc and since there's no All For One arc, the only real big little things that are going to be happening are essentially going to be the little stain fight, but there's not even going to be Nomu's. So it's all going to be a way lighter toned story from here on out. This is when I'm now going to be cutting over to what could have happened if Deku's consciousness and body were simply went back. Deku would pretty much start trying to train at the same level that he always did in the future. However, he would realize that he can't, just like the last one, and he would end up slowly getting into it. However, this version of Deku, because he saw the chaos and the destruction and everything, pushes himself even harder than Izuku. So by the time he actually ends up inheriting One For All from All Might, he's actually able to use a full 100%. And he ends up, by the end of the 10 months being pretty damn strong. That being said, Deku would take the entrance exam, and of course, we all know what would happen if Deku was to have all of the quirks that One For All has vested inside of it, as well as 100% full cowling. Deku obliterates 500 robots in the span of 1 minute. And it gets so bad to the point that President Mike quite literally has to yell over the speakers that he passed. Like, bro, stop destroying robots. There's not going to be enough for everybody else if he keeps this up. He would have ended up abolishing All Might's previous record, and Deku would get accepted immediately. As he would go through normal school, he would have the heroes versus villains. Him and Bakugo would actually be good friends in this version of events, seeing as this version of Deku knows what Bakugo truly feels. And after a bunch of years of him trying to be pushy with Bakugo and not really showing him up, but like just understanding what Bakugo's thinking himself, he would pretty much end up becoming friends with Bakugo, and therefore they would end up making their way to UA High School. As they would go to their first day, they'd have the little quirk assessment. Deku would body that, and this is when they would go through the heroes versus villains, which Deku would end up, of course, bodying Todoroki and let's say Todoroki and Tokiyami, because that's going to be the team that Todoroki's on, because why not? So yeah, Deku and Bakugo end up folding them. Bakugo folds Tokiyami, and in terms of Todoroki, he gets destroyed. Dude, this version of Deku, like 50% full cowling Deku's already stronger than Prime All Might. So times that by 2, and you get a monster, which is not funny at all. Like, it is not a joke. This is unhealthy. However, this is when, of course, before the fight and all that stuff, Deku had to put on his hero costume. However, before he put on his hero costume, he definitely had to introduce to you guys the sponsor of today's video by the name of Fandom. Now guys, if you guys have ever wanted to get yourself any crispy anime merch, then this is the perfect place to go. If you click the link down below in my description, you guys will be having easy access to find yourself any anime merch apparel. They offer options like My Hero Academia, Naruto, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Haikyuu, Attack on Titan, Kill la Kill, 7 Deadly Sins, and honestly anything you can really think of, they have merch for it. They have jean jackets, hoodies, t-shirts. They really have all of the above. They even have statues, hats, cups. They have all the real cool stuff that any anime lover would have. And seeing as you guys are listening to a what if, which isn't even like the actual anime, it's a story, it kind of serves to reason that a lot of you guys would definitely like anime a lot. So yeah, if you've ever wanted to get yourself any dope crispy anime merch, I would definitely suggest going down below in the description, clicking the links to check out any anime apparel that they have on store, seeing as it is all 100% affordable. See, everything is very reasonable in terms of price. Most of the hoodies are around $27, and that's pretty much what normal hoodies that are at H&M be worth, which don't even have any design. And in terms of the jean jackets, they're actually very, very fair in terms of how good the quality is and, you know, the shipping time and all that stuff. Everything is usually 50% off in the store. However, you can even get an extra 5% off if you use the code ZETHER, which is down below in the description. If you end up ordering anything, definitely make sure you let me know down below in the comments. And with that being said, let's get back into the what if. This is when Deku would of course end up bodying Todoroki and Tokiyami, and of course we're going to have a time skip to the day of the USJ attack. In this version of events, Kurogiri does not even get the chance to teleport everybody away. Deku would immediately use Black Whip as he would surround Kurogiri's metal part and he would slam him down onto the ground in a Spider-Man fashion, right? Kurogiri would get dropped, and this would lead to Deku pretty much jumping down with All Might at his side as they obliterate the Nomu and Shigaraki. Shigaraki's taken into Tartarus. However, before he even obliterates Shigaraki and takes him into it, all for one being as, you know, he doesn't want a successor to be thrown into Tartarus, which will probably be impossible to break out of, he would end up using his portals and trying to defeat Deku. However, he would immediately realize that the man is too broken. It's unfair. It's completely unfair how strong Deku is, and yeah, All For One gets clapped, and you know, future arcs happen, the UA Sports Festival happens, and overhaul stuff, and Deku bodies. Deku would pretty much continue going through the rest of the series, having the same personality that we all know and love, so every little funny little interaction would all remain the same. However, the real only changes that would happen to the story is that everything is essentially just easier. Everything that pretty much happens in class is easier, the fights are easier, him becoming the #1 hero is easier, everything in the story is pretty much the same, it's just easier. So it's like, why would I even cover something that you guys already know and love? You know, I'm not gonna fix something that isn't even broken, you know, it's perfect, so I'm not going to add any extra details to the story. With that being said, this is going to mark the conclusion for What If Deku Went Back in Time. I hope you guys ended up liking the video, seeing as it was pretty fun to make, and in case you guys want to see any other What If one-shots similar to this in nature, then definitely let me know down below in the comments, and hit that like button, seeing as that is the best way to let me know you guys love the video. With that being said, make sure to turn those post notifications on, seeing as it definitely helps out with the channel, seeing as the views have been stagnating a lot, seeing as a lot of you guys are all in school and it's getting a little harder for you guys to watch the videos. I understand, but you know, help your boy out. Maybe click on a video, even if you don't really watch it, click on the thing, you know, watch like a good 2 minutes, maybe drop a like for your boy, help your boy out in the algorithm. The money in terms of YouTube revenue has been, you know, it's pretty slumped as of lately, so you know, it kind of hurts my feelings when I see that, but you know, it's all good. I love each and every single one of you guys all know the drill. It has been your boy Zether, and I am out. Peace.